Let me tell you about the worst gardening advice I ever followed. Deadhead your flowers regularly. Stay on top of it. Do it every few days to keep the blooms coming. It's worth the effort. So I did. Every weekend, out in the garden with my scissors, snipping spent blooms one by one, trying to keep up with plants that produced faster than I could cut. And for a while, it felt productive. It felt like I was doing something right. And then August hit. Life got busy. I missed 2 weekends. Came back outside and half my garden had gone to seed, looked ragged and tired, and I felt that familiar guilt that every gardener knows. The garden won. Again. Here is what nobody told me back then. There is an entire category of plants that do not need any of that. Plants that keep blooming from late spring all the way through the first hard frost without you touching them once. No deadheading. No scissors. No guilt. Just continuous color, month after month, whether you show up or not. That is what today is about. 7 plants that bloom all summer long and handle their own spent flowers without any help from you whatsoever. And if you are not subscribed yet, now is the time. Every single week, I put out content exactly like this. The practical stuff that actually changes how your garden performs. Hit that button right now because plant number 5 on this list is the one I wish someone had told me about 10 years ago. It would have saved me an entire decade of wasted weekend hours. Let's get into it. Plant number 1. Catmint. If there is one plant on this entire list that earns the word effortless more completely than any other, it is catmint. And I want you to understand exactly what I mean by that. Catmint, botanical name Nepeta, forms beautiful soft mounds of silvery green aromatic foliage covered in clouds of small lavender blue flowers. It starts blooming in late spring. It blooms heavily through early summer. And then, without you doing a single thing, it blooms again in late summer and carries right through into fall. 2 full waves of color from one plant in one season, with zero intervention required. That is the self-cleaning quality at work. Catmint drops its spent flowers naturally and produces new buds on its own timeline. You can shear it back by about a third after that first flush if you want to tidy it up and encourage an even bigger second round, but you do not have to. Leave it completely alone, and it still delivers. Now let me tell you what else it does while it's blooming all season. It attracts bees and butterflies in enormous numbers. The aromatic foliage makes it naturally deer-resistant and rabbit-resistant. It handles drought once established. It grows in full sun or partial shade. It does not need fertilizing. It does not need babying of any kind. The variety to look for is Walker's Low, Nepeta x Fossini Walker's Low. Do not let the name confuse you. It is not low-growing. It mounds to about 2 feet tall and cascades beautifully over garden edges, walkway borders, and the front of mixed beds. It softens hard edges with its flowing, relaxed habit in a way that looks completely intentional and completely designed. Plant it along a pathway. Plant it at the front of a border. Plant 3 in a drift and watch your garden suddenly look like a professional put it together. Catmint is hardy in zones 3 through 8. It is one of the most cold-hardy, most adaptable, most forgiving plants on this entire list. Cost at most nurseries, $6 to $12. The season-long performance it delivers is worth 10 times that. Plant number 2. Coreopsis. Pure sunshine in plant form. That is the only way I can describe what Coreopsis does to a garden. Coreopsis, also called tickseed, produces bright, cheerful button-like flowers in warm yellow, soft peach, pink, and bicolor combinations, depending on the variety. And here's the part that makes it perfect for this list. Many modern Coreopsis varieties are completely self-cleaning. The spent blooms drop on their own. New buds replace them immediately. The plant cycles through its own deadheading without you ever picking up a pair of scissors. The result is continuous color from late spring all the way through fall. Not 2 or 3 flushes. Continuous. Some varieties genuinely do not stop producing flowers until frost arrives and ends the season for them. The variety I keep coming back to is Coreopsis verticillata moonbeam. Soft, creamy yellow flowers, not harsh, not neon, just warm and glowing, covering the plant so completely that you can barely see the fine feathery foliage underneath. It won the Perennial Plant of the Year award back in 1992, and it is still one of the most widely planted perennials in the country today. That kind of staying power means something. Here is the care profile. Full sun. Average to dry soil. Extremely drought-tolerant once established. It actually performs worse in rich, fertile soil. It gets floppy and produces fewer flowers. Give it your leaner soil, full sun, and minimal water after the first season, and it rewards you with months of uninterrupted bloom. One thing that catches people off guard with Coreopsis: it does not like wet feet. Poor drainage will kill it faster than drought ever will. If your soil holds water after rain, amend it before planting. Get that drainage right, and this plant will live in the same spot for 15, even 20 years. Coreopsis is hardy in zones 3 through 9. It handles heat beautifully, which makes it an outstanding choice for southern gardens where summer temperatures would stress many other flowering plants. Plant number 3. Salvia. And I want to be specific here because there are annual salvias and perennial salvias, and we're talking about the perennial kind. Salvia nemorosa. Look for that botanical name when you are at the nursery. Perennial salvia produces tall upright spikes of rich violet blue, deep purple, or rose pink flowers that rise above compact, aromatic foliage. The flowers are small and tubular, packed densely along the spike, and they are designed by nature for pollinators. Bees and butterflies flock to perennial salvia from the first bloom to the last. Now here is why it belongs on a no deadhead list. Perennial salvia is a self-tidying plant. As individual flowers along the spike finish, the spike keeps pushing upward, producing new flowers at the tip, while the lower section naturally drops its spent blooms. The plant manages its own cycle without any help from you. New spikes emerge from the base continuously throughout the season. The result is a plant that looks fresh and in bloom from late spring all the way through fall without requiring your attention to maintain that appearance. The standout cultivar is Salvia nemorosa caridana. Deep violet-blue flowers on dramatically dark purple stems that set it apart from every other salvia on the market. The dark stems create one of the most elegant vertical accents you can add to a garden bed. Planted in drifts of 3 or 5, and it reads as intentional, designed, and expensive from the street. Full sun. Well-draining soil. Low maintenance across the board. Drought-tolerant once established. Deer-resistant. Rabbit-resistant. Hardy in zones 4 through 9. If you want one plant that does architectural vertical work in your border while simultaneously feeding every pollinator in your neighborhood all season long without asking anything of you in return, perennial salvia is it. Plant number 4. Black-eyed Susan. The workhorse. The classic. The plant that earns its place in the American garden year after year after year and never once lets you down. Black-eyed Susans, botanical name Rudbeckia, produce those iconic golden yellow flowers with a bold dark brown center that you have probably seen growing in meadows, along roadsides, and in residential gardens all across the country. And there is a reason they show up everywhere. They are among the toughest, most self-sufficient flowering perennials in existence. Here is what makes them perfect for this list specifically. Black-eyed Susans are prolific self-cleaners. Spent blooms drop naturally and new buds replace them in a continuous cycle that runs from midsummer all the way through early fall. You never need to deadhead for rebloom. The plant handles that entire process on its own schedule, without interruption, without assistance. The cultivar to look for is Rudbeckia fulgida goldsturm. University studies have shown it blooms longer and more profusely than the straight species. It grows 24 to 30 inches tall, forms tight clumps, and is exceptionally heat and humidity tolerant. If you are gardening in zone 7, 8, or 9 where summer heat is brutal and most flowering plants quit by July, this plant refuses to quit. Pair it with perennial salvia from plant number 3, and you have created one of the most recommended native plant combinations in residential landscaping. The violet blue of the salvia against the golden yellow of Rudbeckia is a textbook complementary color pairing that photographs beautifully and reads as professionally designed from the street. Full sun. Average to dry soil. Drought-tolerant once established. Hardy in zones 3 through 9. Leave the seed heads standing through winter, and birds will feed on them all season long. 2 wins from one plant with 0 effort required from you. Plant number 5. Agastache. Here it is. The one I told you to stay for. The one I wish someone had pointed me to a decade earlier. Agastache, also called hyssop or hummingbird mint, is one of the most underplanted, most underappreciated, most flat-out impressive long-blooming perennials available to home gardeners. And most people have never grown it. That is genuinely a shame, because what this plant does over a full season is remarkable. Agastache produces tall upright spikes of tubular flowers in rich orange, deep coral, soft peach, lavender blue, and deep purple depending on the variety. Those tubular flowers are precisely shaped for hummingbirds. Plant Agastache and hummingbirds will find it. They will visit constantly, all season long, without a feeder, without sugar water, without any effort from you beyond putting the plant in the ground. Now here is what puts it on this list. Agastache is a continuous bloomer with exceptional self-cleaning properties. Spent flower spikes are replaced by new ones emerging from the same stem and from new basal growth throughout the entire season. The plant manages its own bloom cycle so efficiently that it looks perpetually fresh and in flower from early summer all the way through the first hard frost. In warmer climates, Agastache can begin blooming in late spring and not stop until November. That is 5 to 6 months of continuous color and hummingbird activity from a single planting. The care is almost laughably simple. Full sun, well-draining soil, this is non-negotiable. Agastache will not tolerate wet feet. Drought-tolerant once established. It actually prefers lean soil over rich amended soil, just like many of the Mediterranean origin plants we love. It does not need fertilizing. It does not need staking. It does not need deadheading. Varieties to look for: Agastache Blue Boa for deep violet blue spikes. Agastache Kudos Coral for rich warm coral that looks stunning against green foliage. Agastache Black Adder for deep indigo blue that pollinators cannot resist. Hardy in zones 5 through 10 for most varieties, with some newer cold hardy selections pushing into zone 4. If you are in zone 5 or 6, apply a light layer of mulch around the base in late fall to protect the crown through winter. This is the plant that turns a good garden into a great one. Once you grow Agastache, you will never go back to fighting with high-maintenance bloomers again. Plant number 6.
Gaura.
Also sold under its newer botanical name Enothera lindheimeri. And I want to paint you a picture of what this plant looks like in your garden in July. Imagine tall, airy, wand-like stems rising 2 to 4 feet above the ground, each one lined with small delicate flowers in white or soft pink that open sequentially from the bottom of the stem upward. Those flowers flutter in the slightest breeze. They catch the light. They move constantly, even on still days when nothing else in the garden is moving. The overall effect is this shimmering, graceful, cloud-like presence that makes everything planted near it look more beautiful by contrast. And the blooming season? Gaura starts in late spring and does not stop until hard frost ends the season. Month after month of those delicate fluttering flowers without pause, without interruption, without any help from you. It is self-cleaning by design. Individual flowers open, last a day or two, and drop cleanly from the stem as new buds continue opening above them. The plant never looks finished or ragged. It simply keeps producing, keeps blooming, keeps moving in the breeze all season long. The care requirements match that graceful, effortless appearance. Full sun, well-draining soil, absolutely essential for Gaura. Drought-tolerant once established to a degree that borders on remarkable. It evolved in the hot, dry grasslands of Texas and Louisiana, which means it is built for heat, built for dry conditions, and completely unbothered by the kind of August weather that stresses most other flowering plants. It does not need fertilizing. It does not need staking despite its height. The stems are wiry and strong and hold themselves upright beautifully even in wind. It does not need deadheading. It does not need much of anything. Varieties to look for: Gaura whirling butterflies for pure white flowers and an especially airy habit. Gaura siskiyou pink for deeper rose pink blooms. Both are outstanding performers across a wide range of conditions. Gaura is hardy in zones 5 through 9. In zone 5, give it the best possible drainage and a sheltered spot to help it through winter. In zones 7 through 9, it can behave almost like an evergreen subshrub, returning larger and more impressive each spring. Plant Gaura behind lower mounting plants where its height and movement can be appreciated. Pair it with salvia or catmint in the front for a layered border combination that looks effortlessly designed and blooms all season without a moment of deadheading required. Plant number 7. Lantana. I saved this one for last because it makes a promise that sounds almost too good to be true. And then it keeps that promise every single day from late spring until the season ends. Lantana is one of the longest blooming, most floriferous, most self-sufficient plants you can put in a summer garden. It produces dense clusters of tiny flowers and combinations that change color as the individual florets age. You get yellow, orange, red, and pink all on the same flower head simultaneously. The effect is warm, vibrant, complex, and completely unlike anything else in the landscape. And it never stops. Not in June. Not in the brutal heat of July and August when most plants are struggling to survive. Not in September. Lantana simply blooms continuously from its first warm days until frost arrives and ends the season. It is self-cleaning to a degree that is genuinely impressive. Spent flower clusters drop cleanly and new buds replace them almost immediately, maintaining that full, abundant appearance without any deadheading required from you. Here is what makes Lantana particularly exceptional for summer performance. It is a heat-activated plant. The hotter it gets, the better it performs. While other plants are wilting in August, Lantana is putting on its best show of the season. It thrives in full sun and poor soil. It is extremely drought-tolerant once established. Butterflies absolutely love it. Lantana is considered one of the top butterfly-attracting plants in residential gardening. In zones 8 through 11, Lantana is a perennial. It returns from the root system each spring, getting larger and more impressive with every passing season. In zones 5 through 7, treat it as an annual. It will not survive hard winters, but it blooms so profusely and so continuously all season long that the value per plant still far exceeds most traditional annuals. Plant it in containers, in garden beds, cascading over retaining walls, or massed in a hot sunny spot where other plants have given up. Give it sun, give it heat, give it space to spread, and then walk away. Lantana needs nothing else from you. Let me bring this together before you go. 7 plants. All of them capable of delivering continuous color from late spring through the first hard frost without requiring you to deadhead a single bloom. 4 continuous lavender blue waves from spring through fall, Catmint. 4 non-stop warm yellow sunshine that manages itself completely, Coreopsis. For elegant vertical color and unstoppable pollinator activity, Perennial salvia. For that classic golden American garden look with zero effort required, Black-Eyed Susan. For 5 to 6 months of continuous bloom and hummingbirds on demand, Agastache. For graceful movement and shimmering delicate flowers all season long, Gaura. For the most floriferous heat-loving self-cleaning plant in the summer garden, Lantana. You do not need to spend your weekends with scissors. You do not need to feel guilty every time life gets busy and you miss a few days in the garden. You need 7 plants that understand the assignment and show up for it every single day without being asked. Because here is what I want you to take away from today. A beautiful garden is not about how much time you put into it. It is about how smart your plant selections are. Choose plants that work with your life instead of against it, and the garden rewards you more, not less, the less you fuss over it. If this gave you something useful today, hit subscribe right now. Every single week, I break down exactly which plants to choose, exactly where to put them, and exactly how to build a yard that looks incredible without taking over your life. Practical, specific, and made for real people with real schedules and real yards. Subscribe, hit the bell, and drop a comment below. Tell me which of these 7 you are adding to your garden this season. I read every single one. Now go build a garden that blooms all summer while you do literally anything else. I will see you in the next one.